there are those who believe that life here began out there, far across the universe, with tribes of humans who may have been the forefathers of the Egyptians, or the Toltecs, or the Mayans. Some believe that there may yet be brothers of man who even now fight to survive somewhere beyond the heavens.
Let the word go forth to every man, woman, and child who survived this Holocaust. Tell them to set sail at once in every assorted vehicle that will carry them.
Star Wars made it possible to sell this because science fiction didn't enjoy as large an audience as it does today.
One of the first things I ever submitted was a science fiction project called Adam's Ark. And it's been read about a lot by now because people have asked about it. And it really was about a group of people on a trek, a journey. Suddenly there was a chance to sell my Adam's Ark, but with some changes. Adam became Adama, and instead of going from here, they were coming towards here. So it's like wagon train in space, which gives you a chance to tell a lot of people stories. And we hope that people would be the unifying factor.
It's interesting, when I was presented with the Battlestar Galactica script, after about 8 months and numerous casting sessions with just about every actor in town, every hot actor in town, and I had turned it down because honestly, I was a very idealistic actor, and I wanted to do something that would really challenge me as an actor, and I'd just come out of acting class and doing plays and theater, and I really was looking for something that would push the limits of what I'd done in the past.
Pamela Dixon was our casting director from ABC, and casting this was it was a pretty interesting tug of war. This was not something that just everything just fell into place immediately. Richard was one of Pamela's favorites, and I liked him immediately. That was easy.
It was about 2 days before, a week before, something like that. They had not cast Apollo, and at that time I was called Skyler. I think they made me change that because of Star Wars, right? Didn't they change that to Apollo about 3 or 4 days into the shoot?
Not me, it's 25 years ago.
Much harder was Dirk Benedict. I was a fan of Dirk's from having met him in New York and seeing him, and he represented the kind of agile, sort of anti-hero, roguish swashbuckler that I really thought was going to work for us, you know, for the lighter side.
I like the way you haven't gone overboard on furniture. Thanks.
It will go better for you, Lieutenant, if you'd show a little respect.
You mean things could get worse?
For whatever reason, I would test him and I couldn't get him through. I tested Don Johnson. I tested a bunch of people. One of the things that bothered me about Don, and I loved him, was that he sounded very Southern, you know? I mean, he was a good old boy. It was charming, but I said, how do I explain I got one redneck in the fleet? Anyway, after a number of times, I think we tested Starbuck 3 times for Dirk. And finally, I think we'd actually cast someone else. Yeah, we did. And they came through the door, and I said, no, I'm sorry. I put too much into this. I want this to be this group, and I thought we had a great group.
Engineering reports laser hits on starboard engine 7. Power reduction.
Silent an ambush. I had to leave Zach. He's disabled. I'd like to go back and lead him in.
That won't be possible.
Father, I didn't know what else to do. If I don't go back, he doesn't stand a chance.
We are under attack. Repeat, under attack.
Zach?
His ship was destroyed just short of the fleet.
Transferring target scanners to deck 7.
Walking on that set, looking at all these incredible things, and the press was there, and movie cameras, and I'm thinking, like, God, what's going on here? And then I realized, this is big. This is really, really big. And you know, I have to tell you, I was on Streets when Mark Hamill came on the show as a guest star, and he had just finished this little movie, he told me, called Star Wars. And you know, he had no idea how big that feature was because they had not added the special effects, and of course the rest was history when Star Wars came out. But it was very much like that. Walking on was like realizing at that moment, this was no illusion. I was very, very clear that this was something big.
I read the script, and it was really wonderful. It was it was science fiction, and I love science fiction. I love Ray Bradbury and Isaac Asimov, and I'd done a few things along the way. Man from Atlantis, Project UFO, and nobody remembers that probably, but I did an episode of that. And if anybody has that, I would love to have a copy of that.
Lorraine, you, Socialator didn't go down very well with the Standards and Practices at ABC in 1978. What?
A poor choice of words, but...
No, the network was not happy about the Socialator, but I started out as a Socialator because I was only going to be in the pilot. And I guess it went rather well. And they asked me to come back and do the series. And Glenn had to do some changes, and all of a sudden I went from being a Socialator to being a med tech and being able to do heart surgery. And
I wanted my Socialator. I didn't get a Socialator. It's in your contract.
But you got Jane Seymour, and then you got...
I got the money, you got the women.
Well, there was a scene shot explaining it where Cassiopeia spoke about it, and that everybody on the Galactica, if she was going to be on the Galactica, she needed to pull her own weight, and she needed to find a way to help. And sadly, that was cut from the series, from that episode. I'm not sure why, but however they felt it wasn't necessary. In the years following, we always have had comments of what happened and why and how did she do that, and if ever that was to be put back into, you know, if there was a director's cut, that would be it. That scene should go back in just to explain the transition.
Appreciate all you're doing, Cassiopeia.
We do what we have to, Apollo. You know, if anything good came out of the destruction of the colonies, it was the opportunity for fresh beginnings.
Richard and I didn't work together enough. I would watch Richard do scenes, and my favorite thing about Richard, I think, is he has this side all in this one person, and you can see it in talking to him for 5 minutes. There's this absolutely intense, intellectual being, and all wrapped up in this packaging of a little boy, and then the next minute, boom, he's got this mischievous look on his face, and he's laughing about something and joking, and he's just so much fun.